Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri Cardula, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri. Hello, and welcome back to Talking with Teri, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. Today's guest, Randy Rutledge. She's an author and after five business owner, helping experts brainstorm and organize business ideas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. This is exciting. I'm excited. I waited so long to get on this show. This is
awesome. Well, fantastic. I love it. Did you hear that, listeners? Okay, there's a waiting list. No,
yes, it is.
I love it. Music to my ears. All right, so let's dive in. Let's give the listeners a little bit of background about you as far as, how you got to be where you're at today, and just kind of fill us in about this journey.
Oh, well, how I got to be where I am today. Long journey, but I'm going to make it very short. Started out in Jersey, Newark, New Jersey. I am the one female with 6 brothers, grew up and learned how to live in a male's world, to be fearless as it related to anything I wanted to do. However, the inner conflict that I experienced with the external world was totally different. And oftentimes that became my roadblock. At home, I can do anything. But when I go out into the world, because I'm a female, it's like, you should only do these certain things, or only certain things are acceptable. So how I got to where I am today, I just kind of moved into various areas of technology, mathematics, analytics, and that was my focus. Got a scholarship when I was young from Rutgers. That scholarship ended in a year, and I didn't know what to do, because where I grew up, in New Jersey, my mom and dad got divorced when I was 5. And so there really wasn't another place for me to stay after I went away to college. So I was walking down Broad Street in Newark, New Jersey, thinking to myself, inner talk, what should I do? I know I can't go home. There's no place for me. And I saw the federal building, went into the federal building. They were so happened to be giving the military test, took the test. I was gone into the military in 3 days. From there, I just kind of moved on. Met my husband there, been married for 42 years, stayed on the technology track. Thank you so much. Stayed on the technology track. And so my biggest thing as it relates to a roadblock is self-talk and understanding that you are unique. And no matter what you hear from the external world, you can set and design and define what success in life is for you.
Yeah, I think that is, this is my zone, and I speak it, I talk it. Actually, we have a webinar out, a free webinar out that unpacks the unconscious blocks that hold us back. And so I'll actually drop that in the link as well. But I'm telling you, as entrepreneurs, I think people in general, okay, experience these blocks. However,
Yes.
on the entrepreneurial journey, they come fast and furious, because as we're growing and expanding, every new, area that we grow and expand into, there's another like, it unfolds another set of challenges, or,
Yes.
barriers. And this just recently happened to me. I was, I'm pushing to this next level.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, things like, I had technology issues. I had all these like things that went wonky, and I was just like, okay, I'm being tested, right? I'm being tested. And I think, again, like going back to your story, is like, you're being tested,
Yes.
because I think that's profound, in the sense of like, being one way and being accepted in one way in a home, but in the world, not being accepted in a different way. And that is such an incredible barrier to break through on multiple levels. On multiple levels, so how did you you know, give yourself permission, or how did you, walk through that process, what that was? Because, I think sometimes it's easy for us to say like, well, I just tapped into spirit, or I just, I heard, this, message. But, if we were to like unpack this for the listeners to take away some like tangible nuggets in this conversation, how can we, design that so that we have some tangible takeaways here?
Well, I think first of all, you have to have some sense of your identity, or that's a word that people use and they define it in so many different ways, but you have to have a sense of who you are
Mhm.
and your uniqueness. So as a child, in my book, The Soul Seed, one of the things that helps you to reveal and uncover who you are is your curiosity. You, as a child, you get up every day before you go to school and you have an agenda of what you're going to do, what you're going to learn. And through walking through that agenda, you learn the things you like and you dislike. You also learn what you are able to do naturally, what your limitations are. And then when you reach a point of limitation, there is either this drive to change and overcome something that you think is telling you you can't do something because you don't know how. And basically it's kind of knowledge based. And when I say knowledge based, so give you an example, my brothers used to play tops. And tops at the time, we had a top board in the middle of the street where we lived, and you got any kind of top you could get, and you took the top, you pressed it down in the soap, and that would give it hardness. And then you would put the top in your hand and you would flick it with your thumb. I couldn't beat my brothers because I didn't know they were stacking pennies in the top, over top of underneath of the soap. And I
Oh.
found that to be a limitation. Like, I don't understand. I know how to play tops. I can shoot the top. I know what to do. I can aim it, everything. But why am I not doing this? And so you have, and I don't want to say some people, but based on who you are naturally, you may have a propensity to say, oh, I can't do this. And then you just throw it down and walk away. But then there are people that might do that, but then stomp back and come back and like, no, I'm going to learn how to do this. So then you start observing. That's one of the tactics. I start observing when their tops got old from shooting them on the street. They got, like smooth on the bottom and it wouldn't really work like they wanted to. And I saw them creating the new tops and I observed what they were doing. So like fast forward that to today, or when I was walking down the street and saw the federal building. When I say I didn't have a place at home, it meant, this is what it means contextually. My mom and dad were divorced when I was 5. Sometimes I lived with my dad, sometimes I lived with my mom. My mom went on to have more children. That's how I got the 6 brothers. So for me to be an only girl and her to be in an apartment where they say all the boys can be in one room and she has another room, but there's no room for a female, by law, you can't live like that when you're living in public housing or rented housing, etc. So coming back from college, there was no place for me. Now you understand. And I'm saying, okay, what am I going to do? So you start to think, what are my options? Okay, I was in college. I had a scholarship. They got rid of the scholarship. Okay. The military, we were not in wartime. I know I could start back my education again. I can have a place to live, something to eat. They're going to give me clothes. I'm going to, like the little advertisement, I'm going to learn about the world, So I'm only 18 because I graduated at 17. So I'm only 18 and I'm thinking, all right, I don't know anything about this, but I know I grew up with these brothers. And whatever they're going to give me, I know that I can do. I'm going in there. I haven't studied, but I'm going to take this test and I'm going to pass. I took the test on one day. The next day I came back for my physical. The next day you cross the line, say you do. I got on a train. I was on my way to South Carolina. That's the way I walk through it, as though, and some people might say, well, why didn't you try to do this? And why didn't you try to do that? As an 18-year-old, you don't have the maturity to know that I didn't know. And I didn't have the support of my parents to say, hey, just go get student loans. I was going to be a journalist. Just go get student loans. That did not even come to my mind.
That probably wasn't meant to be your path, right?
Yes.
Like, I truly believe that we, knowingly or unknowingly, like we are being guided. And so
Yes.
we are being guided with the information that we have. And looking back as an 18-year-old, like me, I think we can all look back as an 18-year-old. And at the time we think we know everything. But in reality, we don't know much, right? And so,
Yeah.
but at the same time, we know enough, and what I dig out of this conversation is that you became super resourcewell.
Yes.
And I think that is a super, power that it is a skill that we can continue to, you know
Oh God, it's
foster and
funny that you
develop.
say that.
And I'm just telling you, like my daughter, like I, even this morning we're having this conversation, and I think as a parent, like my job is to help her become more resourceful. I'm not going to be her
Yes.
problem solver. I'm not going to be her, because that's not how the world works. Like I had not found the magic 8 ball yet on the street corner that says, okay, let me go like get my answer. So, but I think that is so profound is like, you know, internally working the muscle to become more resourceful. And if we don't know the
Yes.
answers, how do we get the answers? And how, if, it's again, it's just training the brain to, be
Yes.
curious. And I love that you talk about curiosity, because I am a big component of curiosity because of what it does in the brain, and it activates the
Yes.
entire brain. It's just the emotion that
Yes.
is like the super emotion, right? And so when
Yes.
we are being curious, so what I hear you saying is being curious, but
Yes.
allowing yourself to be open to the possibilities and observing, right? Like observing, figuring it out.
Yes.
And then you must have some tenacity in there, because there's that, like that piece that says, I'm not going to give up. Like
Yes.
I'm just going to move forward, and it may not look pretty, but at least I'm going to take another step forward, right? And then
What?
trusting the knowingness. And I think I truly believe that we all have the knowingness. We were gifted it at birth, but we
Yes.
have sometimes stopped listening to that knowingness. And so there was something at you at 17 and 18 years old that just knew that this is, I'm gonna go do this.
Yes.
And I am certain that if you look back now, your path, you're like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of things that you can be grateful
Yes.
for this path, right? Like it led
Yes.
you to where you're at today, with all the
Yes. Yes.
fun
Yes.
jokes and all that fun stuff.
Well, one of the things I did as a kid was observe because y- and this is not to make people get sad, for me, but my mom was 16, my dad was 21 when they got married. So when they got divorced, I was 5. My mother didn't have the jobs or whatever it was to get apartments. She had help from her family, and she did have the welfare. And I used to think, and this is going to sound strange maybe to some people, but I used to think like, why is my mom having more children when she doesn't really have the college education or any the education needed to take care of us? And I think the world as a stereotype would think that that's what women are doing of color when they're having kids and they're on the system. That's not what's happening. What's happening is you have this young woman who is looking for this love, looking for some companion. And in the throes of that relationship, they're having sex. And I'm going a little further. My mom had IUDs at the time. So she was conscious of contraception, but she
Yeah.
still always got pregnant.
Wow.
And so when people have a stereotype about things going on, you have to understand the context behind all that. So for me, as one girl, and I was the second child, I have an older brother. I always observed because I would hear people talking, and I'm a baby boomer. They tell you, don't talk until somebody asks you something, speak, don't speak until somebody asks you something. So
Yeah.
I was always I was always observing, and I had this way of sucking my thumb and twirling my ear, and I would just be scanning like a computer, watching everybody, all the adults. What are they doing? What are they saying? What are they drinking? Are they coming in and out? And I was very analytical, very young. And it's interesting because I could put data points together from a year ago when I saw this person do one thing. And finally, now a year later, now I know why they did such and such. So going back to you saying curiosity and observation, those skills, for some reason as a child, I can think on 3 tracks. I'm observing, I'm thinking, and I'm looking at the resources. And I'm making decisions based on these facts and taking risk at the same time because I don't know what the outcome is going to be. And that was my superpower, to observe, to calculate the risk based on the data that I know. And it's interesting because I teach health informatics, clinical decision support. I teach, these types of things, and I didn't know, that's what it was going to lead to. But
that's your superpower, right?
yes.
That's monetizing your superpower. That's called brilliance. Okay.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Yes. And so, I mean, and again, like our path like takes us where we are led, right? And so now taking your superpower, and I was joking about it, but you have really monetized your superpower, right? And so
Yes. Yes.
tell us a little bit about what you're doing now with the work that
Well, I
you're
have
doing.
a couple of companies and I call them after 5 because I do work the 9 to 5, and I do that by choice. I have been a consultant for the big 5 like Deloitte, Anderson, Bearing Point. I have done the sales, $1 million of sales, but I realized that that wasn't me as a person. So once I got out of the consultant, I got a 9 to 5 job. But because I'm more than my 9 to 5, I like to do other things. So in answer to your question, one of the companies I have is Singletree Media, is singletree.media. And what I do is I work with entrepreneurs to help them create other avenues to create an audience just in case, and it will happen. And I've been saying this for 2 years, Facebook shuts down, Instagram and all those, you still have an audience that can see your content. And from there, I have a company called Rutledge and Associates, which I've had for years, doing different types of things. For example, I had a couple of real estate licenses, one in Jersey and one in Alabama. And when the real estate crash happened in 2008, Rutledge and Associates began taking care of those homes that weren't selling. We did trash outs, we did the lawn, we did whatever, and we were making really a lot of money at that time. But anyway, I have After 5preneur. It's a website. It's not really my company. The company is Rutledge and Associates. And what I do is I help those who have 9 to 5s, but they want to go on an entrepreneur journey. And typically they have 10 ideas in their head and they want to do all of them. And I help them brainstorm,
Yes.
you know?
You just can't. I love it.
You got to pick one first. And that's just to get
one.
on the journey, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You're not putting the rest of them away. You have to pick. This is what I say. You got to pick one for the sake of picking one to start the journey. Then you'll be able to infuse all those other things as you start to create and develop.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Again, the message, picking one so you can focus on one and leverage one and get that working, get that owner independence, and then you can pick another one, right? Like some of us, there's so many of us, the entrepreneurs that have, I think, just like this love of life and this curiosity and this like eager to like take on the world. And we can only do so much.
And make money. Make money.
So like to do it in a smart and healthy and easy way.
Yes.
Do one, stick with it, create it to be a passive income, create it to where you have a team that's doing everything, have it be owner independent. And then once it's owner independent, what amazing freedom you are given.
But now Teri, what if you are the person like me that is not trying to make it a passive thing because you really enjoy helping a person brainstorm and you can see when the light comes on and they
of
get
course
it,
if that is your core, if you're that's your core business, and if you want, that's what your role is, absolutely. But I'm talking about the folks that they want to do all these different businesses. Businesses, they're like, okay, I want to do essential oils here, and then I want to do, coaching here. And I want to do, I want to have another business where I have, another type of product or a service over here. And
Yes.
that's where it gets challenging, because then it's like,
Yes.
okay, all these businesses have different audiences, they have different
Yes.
marketing needs. And then what I have found time and time again is that we get consumed by the busyness and one
Yes.
business is consuming, let alone
Yes.
two or three. And so what happens is, what I find a lot is that they're just not successful in any or all of them,
Yes.
which then
Yes.
tells us, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not making money here. I'm not making money
And
here.
that's wrong. You just got to
And
get a
then
single focus, like what you
single
teach. You've got
focus.
to get
And if
that
you love
focus.
doing brainstorming and that's your zone of genius, stay in the zone of
Yes.
genius. Don't, like I'm saying, like do the things that you love and are passionate about. Doesn't mean you have to go completely passive, but like for my other company, I have, I spend about 2 to 4 hours a month in that company. And
Wow.
I lead one meeting, and that's it. Like that is what I do in that company.
Mhm.
And so I have tons of time freedom, right? And I don't have to like market. I don't do any of the other, like I am not in any of the other buckets in that ownership of that
Wow.
company.
Yes, yes, yes,
So,
yes.
but that gives me freedom to do what I feel called to do, which is this company. And so I spend my majority of my time in this company. Now, I this company is not into a place where it's that we have switched to automation, and in the next few months we will be further along in that automation process.
Yes.
And so I can do less and less and less. Um, but I wouldn't start another company yet
And
until
sometimes that's what we do when we get a little freedom.
yeah.
We think
And
we're
I'm just
supposed
like,
to,
I wouldn't do that to myself. I don't want to, like, you know what I'm saying? So I think,
yes,
yes, you have a great point. And, just making sure that we are not spreading ourselves too thin as entrepreneurs,
too
because I
thin.
think,
Yes.
because we have to have something that's bringing in money. And I think
Yes.
oftentimes we miss that mark, and we want to do everything, and we want to give, and we want to be, and that's great,
Yes.
but we have to be able to
Yes.
create out of, this, or what are we doing? I mean, it's just a big fat hobby. And I don't know how many
Yes.
people, and the government included, after a couple of years of not showing profit, the company's like,
Yes.
this is a hobby. Like
Yes.
this
Yes.
is not viable, and it's not sustainable. So we got to get it to a place where it's sustainable
Oh,
and
yes.
viable, and that it is creating ideally a profit, because actually it
Yes.
shows us that yes, we are, that we are meeting the needs of our
Yes.
consumer, and we're providing a service or a product that they enjoy, and they are it's a value, right? And so I just think that it's, when we get too many, things going at once, I think
Yes.
we do a big disservice to ourselves, to our families, to our lives, to our like sanity, by having
That's huge.
too many fires in the fire pot, and you're like, what is happening? And
Yes, and then we become like Ralph. I used to say Ralph Cramden. He's got all these things he's doing from the Honeymooners. I know that's dated, but if you ever watch that show, he and
yes,
Ed were always doing something, and
and
it was
yeah, and I just see it a lot. And what happens, what I've seen is we have two or three or things going, and then
yes,
in our mindsets, like none of them are successful. I don't feel successful. I feel like a
yes,
failure. And I just get smaller and smaller and smaller and
yes,
smaller.
yes,
And
yes,
my brilliance that I'm supposed to be giving to the world has been overlooked, avoided, resisted or whatever. And it's hanging out there. And if I were just to tap into that, it would make all the difference, right? So
yes. Well, it
yeah,
takes a lot to make a profit. It takes a lot, creating an audience, being consistent, being
yes,
authentic, building, giving all this value, and then the marketing and all. There's a lot of moving pieces, and you have to fit them together, but you have to fit them together uniquely for what you're offering, right?
yes,
And
exactly.
I tell people that I work with, listen, give yourself a year. Give yourself a year to start to see you make your first, money coming in the Stripe or whatever it is that you do. And I think, and this might sound contradictory, I think that's one of the reasons now I keep my 9 to 5. I'm 62 years old. I really could retire, but I keep my nine
Yeah.
to five so that I could give to the audience. It doesn't take me very long. I can help a person with 10, 15 ideas. drill down to their niche in 30 minutes to an hour, because I'm leveraging all the consulting experience I use for my clients in the government and all that from Deloitte, Accenture, and Bearing Point. I'm using those brainstorming techniques. I'm using the same techniques that I learned when I got my PhD, that I learned from teaching students in the university. They're getting all of that in 30 minutes to 30 to 60 minutes. And that's all I do with them. Let me help you find your niche, give you a couple of things you need to do, and give you free resources to start, and that's what I do. And so I make a profit, but that's not the thing I have to focus on. So I can give more,
Yeah. No, but it's great. It's great that you're able to find that balance and what works for you and your company. But you're not just giving it away for free. You're still, you're still giving yourself, value to you and honoring, your time, your resources, because that's really important, to be able to do that. And if that's not what you want to do and you just want to go volunteer, right? Go give of your service and time. We need that world as much as everything else.
True.
Again,
but then you need a nonprofit, right? And then you just flip the script instead of an LLC or corporate.
Or you just go volunteer for someone, right? You need help there too. So but I love this. And so tell me, what's one thing that, you have found to be successful and helpful in your journey, in what you currently do, that could, should maybe be a tool or resource for the listeners?
I think we get bogged down with so many thoughts in our heads and so many things that we feel like we have to do. And you get so busy. One of the things people typically don't get is enough me time or enough rest. So one of the things that I do when I'm on my way to sleep, I try to get into bed early. I do something called offloading. Your mind is spinning just over and over all the things that you have to do. I have this pad next to my bed and I will offload everything I need to do. I need to, and maybe I'll prep it. So if I have to have mail or boxes I have to take to the post office or UPS, I'll get them already, put them on the counter next to the door. If there's some things that I need to do, a bill I need to look at, I was charged for something, I'll write that down on my list, and I'm offloading everything that's going to stop you from getting your sleep. And I'm telling myself, okay, I'm writing these things down, what I need to do. And once I've done offloading, and offloading doesn't happen like when you're sitting in the bed looking at your phone. No, you'll lay down, the light is out, and then it'll be like 5 to 10 minutes. That's when you need to pop up and offload. And empty your mind of all the things and then go to sleep. That's what you need to do. The other thing is, you only asked for one thing, but I'll give this other as a bonus.
Yes, share away, share.
I've been having sleepathons since I was 28.
Okay, what is a sleepathon?
A sleepathon is when you go and get you these most lovely pajamas for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You get whatever you like to eat, drink, whatever. You wash your hair, do everything you're going to do on Friday, and all you do is go to sleep and sleep as long as you can. You get up, you shower, change into new lovely pajamas, eat something, whatever, go back to sleep. It's a sleepathon. And even if you don't sleep, your body is at rest. And you just meditate.
Oh my goodness.
And I turn on.
Never heard of this before.
Oh, I bet my kids can tell you. They're like, Mom, you're having a sleepathon, not this weekend.
After large events, and when I do my own events, or I do like a large speaking event, I call it my cocooning time. And I actually carve out 3 full days after an event, and I call it my cocooning time. So I don't tap on technology. I do nothing. And I just, either it's in the bed or I'm in the couch, but everyone knows Mom's cocooning. And so there's just like, don't ask for anything. Don't ask.
That's right. Don't anywhere. Call me. Nothing.
I'm just cocooning. And so it's really just, I love it. I call it cocooning time, but I didn't realize that there was this sleepathons. And so I love it. I mean, so many of you, seriously, right now, you guys are just getting like this, like, unconscious permission to do a sleepathon.
Have
And
a
you're welcome. Like, Randy, thank you for just giving the world right now permission to do a
yes.
sleepathon. I mean, like
Oh,
that sounds,
yes.
I think some people's mouths are probably watering right now. Like,
Well,
so
the fact that you go plan it, get your lovely
yes,
pajamas, you do
I
your
love
hair,
it.
everything. And this is what you're going to do. And you'll be surprised how you are refreshed and how much
Mm.
oxygen you breathe back into your life by doing that.
And now that we're talking about this and I think about my cocooning time, like I purposely did this because I needed to regenerate. Like it definitely needed a reset button because I've exerted so much energy. And many of you guys
Yes.
know that I'm like this Energizer bunny, but okay, I'm just telling you, like one of my little hacks here is I do this, like the
The cocooning,
cocooning
yeah.
after an event, after a big speaking engagement. I carve it out. Like it is on my calendar months and months, if not
Yes.
years. I'm doing an event in February, my live event, February 11th and 12th. And I already have on my calendar the rest of the
You're
day,
cocooning.
days. Yep. And I just love it. And so what a brilliant way of, really being intentional about self-care. This is
Yes.
like self-care-a-thon, like this is fantastic. I love it.
Yes.
So I'm going to invite
Yes.
people to do this. And even
A
if you cannot
sleepathon.
make it
Yes.
to even do it for 48 hours,
Yes, yes.
24
And my
hours,
kids used to be, I'd be at the store getting some pajamas and they would look. I have just a son and a daughter. She's 41 now and he's 39. But at the time, when I'd be looking for pajamas, they'd be looking at each other like, she's about to do a sleepathon. We better hurry up and get what we want from her because I'll be getting my pajamas.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I love this. I love this. I love it. So, and I don't even think that I've ever talked about my cocooning time on here. So I love it. We just,
See, you and
again,
we're right
a
here,
little,
right?
a little. I love it. I love it. But I think you do it. I think you do. You go to the next degree, right? Like I don't get any fancy pajamas, but now I think I need to get some fancy pajamas and like, I don't know, like do it
It
up a
just
little.
makes you
I need to
feel
spice up my
luxurious,
cocooning time. Okay. Like
Yes,
I'm gonna buy that burrito blanket after all. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's
Yes,
oh
yes,
my
do
god.
it.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh,
do
it's
it. Do it,
hysterical. My cocooning.
The
Anyways,
small things that make you feel so good,
yes.
We
And then when
need
I'm
them.
thinking about cocooning, right? Like I think about like a swaddle blanket, like
Oh,
like being
yes.
swaddled, like
Warm and
yummy.
toasty, right?
Oh my gosh, we could come up with like a product, we can call it the swaddle sleepathon,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you
yeah,
and
yeah.
I.
The
Speaking of
sleepathon swaddler,
brainstorming.
right? Or whatever, right?
All right. I don't know where this wagon went, but I think we have just like lost the wagon. Okay. So here we are.
That's all right.
All right. So
Got a whole
Randy,
new trend.
okay, Randy, where can people find you, connect with you, and like even brainstorm with you?
Oh, wow. Well, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I am. And I believe that you have the link for them.
Yes, we will add
I-
all the links in there down below. So check out down below, grab the
yes,
link, go check her
that's
out,
for
connect with
LinkedIn.
her.
And then you can go to after5preneur.com, and that's where you can connect with me for the brainstorming. And you can just take a look at Single Tree Media. If you're thinking about moving to over the top technology instead of Facebook or along with Facebook and Twitter and all those, this is a media that you can still have an audience. You can have subscription-based audiences, all these do pay-per-view events. That's the kind of media that I have. It's under singletree.media, and I work with entrepreneurs there. You'll see a number of them there, and still looking for new ones to spotlight under Singletree Media.
Excellent. Thank you, Randy. Thank you for just
Thank
being this
you.
bottle of joy today. So
Oh,
thank you so much.
We connected so well, and I'm looking forward to what we talked about earlier before the broadcast. Looking forward to being there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's TERI.com, to book your time.